there's going to be some serious consideration to a very important event.
No matter how good they are,
right.
I'm not sure it can.
There's always room to get better.
How good the trade was that the Indians pulled off.
Tell me, what are your thoughts? Or is that in your ad-lib commentary?
I think I addressed Trevor Bauer's time here and what's going to occur for him in the future in my commentary. But I think they got, my question going down the stretch to the trade deadline was whether they would be able to deal him for the reasons we know that were important. He's not going to be here long term. Next year they didn't want to pay him a lot of money to be a short timer, but also be able to improve the team. You know, how do you get rid of one of your best starting pitchers and still improve the team? And I think they did it.
Let me go one step further.
Yeah.
If they go to the postseason, which they assume they're going to do, right? Although it's iffy right now, but I assume they will. If they do, they're not going to have to face Trevor Bauer with Cincinnati, with Houston, or with the New York Yankees. And I think that's important too. Only because if he beats them and knocks them out, that stays with the Indians front office forever.
Yeah, and Mike Chernoff and Chris Antonetti in their press conference today that I didn't attend but listened to, they addressed that. They didn't say it was the main factor in making the deal with a National League team or two National League teams, but it certainly, was something that they worked into consideration. That they're happy that they didn't have to move him to a team that they would then compete against.
Here was my reaction. I didn't want them to trade him. I think he's one of the top 5 pitchers in baseball.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I
in the American
would
League
say
anyway.
no, but
okay. Would you say top 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably.
So probably top 5 in the American League without going down the list. Although Verlander looked like he was 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 last night.
Yeah, he sure did.
But I didn't want them to trade him. But when I heard what it was on 2 different occasions, when I heard the beginning, Yasiel-Puig from Cincinnati, and I'm saying, and there's more, because I thought that's the kind of trade they were aiming at. As you see the trade recap right there. But I would have thought that would have been a standalone trade if they really, really, really had to get rid of Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, I don't know at whose behest the 3-team trade happened, but I think this front office has been pretty savvy in trying to maximize these kinds of deals, and I think they did a really good job. What I've been reading among baseball people is that the Indians knocked it out of the park, and that the Padres, they feel, did really well because this kid is a top 15 prospect.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Cincinnati was thinking of that. When you see that trade with all the stuff involved, it makes you understand a little bit, or it should make you understand, how much goes into making a deal like this. You hear about a trade as you get near the deadline and you say, well, make it already. Well, wait a minute. They got to worry about the 4 minor leaguers on this time and the 3 on that team and so on.
Yeah, and one of the things that Antonetti said today when he was asked about whether they tried to get something else done, he was asked if they were close to something else, and he's reluctant to use the word close, he said, because a deal's not a deal until it's finished.
Correct.
And he said that they felt that they were across the finish line on a couple of things today, and they fell apart. So they were clearly trying to do something else, and I don't know this for a fact, but I would think that they were trying to add maybe some depth to the starting rotation since they lost Bauer from it.
What quietly was hidden is the fact that Carlos-Carrasco is put on the 60-day IL, and that there's no Carlos-Carrasco pitching this year.
Well, I don't know. He didn't rule that out, and maybe he just didn't want to for Carlos Carrasco's sake. I mean, his point on that today was that it's a procedural thing.
60 days can be changed?
Well, I mean, I think it's retroactive to when you first put him on. So there's still time.
Yeah.
There's still time for him to come off, I think, but they're very reluctant to attach any kind of a progress report or date to his season, and maybe it's because they want to give him every opportunity to take his time coming back from what he's coming back from. I think that this thing, I was asked, I did a 92.3 interview today with Ken Carmen and Anthony Lima, and Jason Lloyd was on, and Jason felt strongly that this positioned the Indians now to go to the World Series, and I said I'm not quite ready to say that yet. He asked me why. And I think mostly because I still think I need to see something out of Kluber and or Salazar. before I feel
Salazar would be a Christmas gift if that works out.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, you look at I had this discussion with somebody the other day, and maybe it's just too trite to even discuss, because what does it mean? But if you had to give the ball to one pitcher to win a game for you, I felt better about Shane-Bieber than I did about Trevor Bauer.
Wow.
At the trade deadline.
Well, why? Because Bauer could be absolutely spectacular, but Bieber would be more steady.
I just feel like Bieber has really raised his game, and Antonetti, as cliched as that is, Antonetti admitted today that the development of those guys, whether it was Plesac but mostly Bieber, I think gave them a little more, I don't want to say courage, but gave them a little more incentive to make a deal like this.
All right, before we get to your commentary, let's take a look at who was involved in this. Yasiel-Puig, 28 years old, and you see the stats right there. He's got a phenomenal arm, but he doesn't grasp the concept of defense or game situations. And so you got to wonder if the offensive part of his game is going to overtake that. 252 average this year, 61 RBIs and 22 homers. And they made the All-Star team back in 2014 with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He will be a free agent at the end of this season, so you had that part of it also, that you may only get 2 months of him.
Yeah.
And here's the other one. This is one I'm a little excited about. Franmil-Reyes, 24 years old in his second Major League season. I said he had 20, in my opening comment, I said 26 homers. I lied, it's 27, and 44 RBIs in 99 games this season.
Yeah, and you know, he can't really play any other position, which makes him good for the American League, right?
Right.
Better for the American League than where he was in the National League. I also think he's a guy that, you know, a lot of these young guys that are power hitters obviously have huge strikeout numbers, and he doesn't. So.
Right. And the bottom line there, he's under contract to the team till 2024.
And that's what impressed me so much about the trade, is that they made themselves better. If all they were doing was selling off because they didn't think they had a chance to compete,
right,
then you would trade Bauer for somebody's top prospects, right? In
my guess is, though, they did save some money.
I don't know. I saw someone, John Heyman, I think he's from MLB. I probably have that wrong. But I thought he posted something today saying that it was a wash. Oh. So if they did save something, it may not have been a tremendous amount of money.